How do people go from the point where they are passionately in love with each other and they cannot stand to be apart, and they stand and they declare their undying love before all the witnesses? All of you go, you tie your gele and your head tie and whatever, and you go, and they declare their undying love for each other before all the witnesses. And then 2, 3, 5 years down the line, they are standing with such acrimony before a divorced judge and saying, this matter has to end today. I'm done with this marriage. How do you get from here to there? Offense. Have you ever gone so far down the road of relationship breakdown with someone, whether it was a friend or a parent or a sibling or your fiance or a husband or a wife? You've gone so far down the road of relationship breakdown that you get to a point and you're asking yourself, how did we get here? You get to a point where you don't even want to see each other face to face any longer. Someone that you loved so passionately before. Why does this happen? It's offense. How do you get there? It's one offense at a time. Tell your neighbor for me, it's one offense at a time. Offense is defined as this. I like this particular definition of offense. It says it is annoyance or resentment brought about by, watch this, brought about by a perceived insult or disregard for oneself. Note that word, perceived. A lot of times, the reason why we get offended in relationships is because of what we perceive to be an insult or a disregard to our person. And one thing I have come to discover in this life is this: perception is more powerful than reality. Perception is way more powerful than anything that is happening in reality. Let me quickly prove it to you. If you think about the African elephant, it's a massive beast. The African elephant stands 10 to 13 feet tall. That's like more than double my height. The average African elephant weighs up to 6,000 kilograms in weight. That's about 85 times of my weight. Don't start calculating what my weight is. That's the size of the average African elephant. But if you go to the circus, this used to happen a lot those days. These days they don't allow them to use, animals that much in circuses any longer. But if you go to the circus, you find an animal that big, that strong, that powerful, tied by a tiny chain on the end of its leg. A chain that it could just shake its leg and drag that chain out and it's free. But it stays there, stuck to that chain. Why? Because when the elephant is growing, when it's a baby, they tie a chain, that same kind of chain, to its leg. And it fights and it struggles and it fights and it struggles and it tries to get away from the chain and it can't. And it does that day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, till it gets to the point where it is branded in its perception, in its consciousness, that every time that chain is around your leg, you can't go anywhere. To the point that when the elephant grows to be a full size, even though that chain could no longer hold it, because of the perception that it has, that chain means I can't go anywhere, it does not go anywhere. Perception. That is the place where many Christians find themselves today. The only thing worse than being bound is to be free and not even know that you are free. Perception. So what you perceive is crucial. The way you see things, the way you view things, your perspective is crucial because it changes everything in your life. That elephant has the capacity for freedom, but it has a perception of containment and bondage, and because of that, it stays bound. Your perceptions will no longer hold you bound in Jesus' name. I said your perceptions will no longer hold you bound in Jesus' name. You will see as you should see.